So we had our first snow, as you can see, and I thought it was a good time to talk about winter chicken keeping 101. What you need, what you don't. If you're interested in any of the products that we happen to use, I will leave that in the description below as well as in a pinned comment below. So we're just moving our chickens from the summer coop over here, and we'll be shifting them into our winter coop probably in the next week or two. So we have our fences lined up to be able to open the doors to the chicken coop and let them go in and out soon. Have a couple more things to do in the coop, so we got to clean out the bedding and set up new bedding in there, and then they'll be set to go, so it shouldn't take too long. We do like to keep our fences running all winter, even though they've become less effective, and that is mainly because we want to keep our predators trained to these fences. It's more of a psychological barrier, not actually a physical barrier. So if they know that it stays on and is shocking them, if they touch it, they're less likely to go after our chickens. We don't really get enough daylight to have our solar energizers running all winter. So first thing we needed for winter chicken keeping with the fences is a plug-in energizer. So we have this IntelliShock 10 from Premier One plugged in our barn, which is right next to our coops. And those wires go out the door. We have a little hole up here for our wires to come through, and we'll set up a grounding rod and we'll plug it in over there next to the coop. Another thing you'll need for winter chicken keeping is some way to keep your water from freezing. So this is a heated base that we got for our chicken waters. It says it's for metal waters only, but it really doesn't get very hot. Like, I can hold my hand to it and it's just warm. So really all it does is keep the chicken waters just above freezing. So we just put our plastic waters on it and have no problem with that. Of course, you need a shelter to keep the chickens out of the wind. Out of the wind is more important than out of the cold. So you actually don't need to heat your shelters. We get down to -10 Fahrenheit. First year I was here, we were at -15, by the way, and that's when I learned how to keep chickens in the winter. So we did make some adjustments to the coop. I have another video that goes over what we did there. I'll link it at the end of this video here if you're interested. But you do want something that has walls on the sides and the roofs below any ventilation. You do want ventilation, but you want it above their head to get the moisture out, because it's the moisture that causes the frostbite more than the cold. So that is important to have some shelter. It also needs to be predator proof, because you get hungry predators in the wintertime. We are not cold enough to have our waters freeze yet. But eventually, we will need to start hauling water from the house. We don't have to turn off our outdoor water until we get down into the 20s. So we will keep this on for a little while yet, probably into December. We'll watch the temperatures. And we can turn off this outdoor water, and then we'll have to lug it from the house. So we do have a couple of different size waterers for our chickens. And the ones I like to use in the winter, I think this is 3.5 gallon waterer. So this is our water for the winter. In the summer, we have big 5 gallon waterers that are like this. I really do like these because they're top waters, but in the winter you get any water in here and you can't open the top. So that does not work well for the winter, but it's great for the summer. And these guys, you have to flip upside down and they open from the bottom. So, but these I can carry better. Now eventually we may have to actually start moving the waters in at night, even with the warmers here. And that is mainly because even at night the water up here might freeze. It might be okay down there, but it might freeze up there. So we do watch our waters and make sure they're not getting frozen, but we can move them out during the day onto the heated water base and then take them in at night on the coldest nights. Another thing that chickens need in the wintertime to help keep them warm is feed. The food actually helps keep them warm. Obviously, you need to feed your chickens anyway, but I would say unlimited feed in the wintertime when it gets cold enough to keep their bodies warm. They'll eat as much as they want. So we do change over our feeding system in the winter. And as long as we have access to our water, we soak feed and we put this in the barn. And this will ferment the feed a little bit, soften it, and it's actually easier to digest. So this feed, which is in the bottom of that bucket, is actually more efficient. You don't need as much to feed as many birds. In the wintertime, we basically have a dry feeder set up for them. So we can fill the feeder up, hang it from the coop somewhere so the mice are less likely to be able to get into it. I usually have one out in the run and one in the coop, or just one or two in the run. The chickens will go outside, especially if you have a covered run. Generally, what the chickens don't like in the winter is snow. They don't like getting their feet wet, especially if it's deep snow. So another good thing to have on hand in the wintertime is a shovel. So you can shovel out a section and they can still come out. It's also nice to have a covered run just so that they can get outside without getting into deep snow. And this type of snow, they don't have a problem. But see, they have no problem walking in snow. And Gus's flock is out as well. But a good snow shovel is handy to have as well. Now, one thing you'll notice in the fall time, they start molting. That's normal. If you see the raggedy feathers that come in, that is perfectly normal. Another reason to have unlimited feed is that them to be able to grow back their winter feathers. But that also means they're putting all their protein into their feathers, not into egg laying. So your egg laying production goes way down in the fall time. It'll pick back up again when the daylight starts extending. So sometime mid-late January, you'll start getting eggs and a huge amount of production at that point. Don't worry if your egg production goes down and if your girls look a bit raggedy this time of year, because they're just growing in their new feathers. So that footage that I recorded was from just about 3 days ago. And this morning, let's say we have over a foot of snow that's been coming down for a few days, melting slightly and coming down more. And it's now 17 degrees this morning. Gus's flock moved themselves into their winter coop and run yesterday, but Lucky's flock is still going into their summer coops. Let's check on them and get them out of there, which means shoveling a path. It's pretty deep out here, Brew. You guys gonna come out? That's pretty much what you need for winter chicken keeping. And if you have any questions about any of this, feel free to leave a comment. I will also link a video at the end here on winter chicken coops. So the best design for keeping your chickens in the winter. Thanks for watching. We'll see you with the next one.